What kind of bizarre criminal is this? Knowing the police are coming, he deliberately strips naked and waits in his home, only to calmly get arrested when they arrive. He even taunts the police to search his house. So they do, but find nothing, except for shelves full of legal books. Now here's the question, why would a dangerous criminal go to the trouble of studying so much law? The police suddenly notice a photo on the wall, showing Clyde's enemy shaking hands with prosecutor Nick. It turns out, Clyde wants revenge on Nick. When Nick hears about it, he's lured into prison. Nick asks him, "Did you kill him?" Clyde readily confesses. Nick smiles, thinking this case is too easy. But then Clyde laughs and asks, "Do you think my confession is enough to convict me?" It turns out, Clyde has studied the law thoroughly. His so-called confession was legally meaningless and couldn't lead to a conviction. Nick asks, "So, what do you want?" Clyde says, "Today, I want to negotiate with you." It turns out that 10 years ago, Clyde's wife and daughter were murdered by a scumbag. Nick had been Clyde's lawyer back then, but to maintain his 96% conviction rate, he struck a deal with the scumbag side, letting the real killer go free. That's why Clyde now wants revenge. Clyde says, "If you want me to confess, move the softest mattress into my cell." Nick refuses. Meanwhile, Nick doesn't know that a videotape has arrived at his house. His young daughter innocently plays it, and the tape shows the brutal murder of the scumbag. The little girl is terrified and starts crying. However, the police can't convict the criminal because the killer wears a mask. Helpless, Nick finally agrees to Clyde's demand. Soon, a mattress is delivered to the prison, causing an uproar among the inmates. A few days later, the trial begins. The prosecutors hope the judge won't release Clyde, but to everyone's surprise, Clyde stands up to defend himself. His speech is well organized and logical. He even cites a similar case to argue his innocence. The lawyers present are stunned. In the end, the judge has no choice but to announce Clyde's immediate release. But Clyde starts mocking the judge. "I'm guilty, and yet you're letting me go? Isn't that exactly what happened 10 years ago when you released the scumbag who killed my wife and daughter?" It turns out that the judge was the one who had sentenced the murderer 10 years ago. Then, Clyde suddenly confesses his crime in court and publicly slaps the judge in the face. The judge is furious and orders Clyde to be thrown back in jail. Later, Nick visits Clyde again, only for Clyde to make new demands. At exactly 2 p.m., "I want a top-tier Michelin steak." Nick refuses, but then Clyde says, "The lawyer who defended the scumbag is dying." Nick is shocked and rushes to check. Sure enough, the lawyer has been missing for 3 days. They quickly buy the steak for Clyde. However, the prison warden, who's displeased with the situation, deliberately delays the steak delivery by 8 minutes. Clyde then gives Nick the location of the lawyer. Nick rushes there, finds the lawyer's suitcase, and they dig up the ground. Finally, they find the lawyer, but there are no signs of life. The time of death? Exactly 8 minutes ago.